Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Will Clegg. I am the co-producer and sometimes host of Awkward Teenage Years, which is the show you're here to see. Yes. If you're not here to see Awkward Teenage Years, the door's closed. You're stuck with us. So if you've never seen our show before, this is the show where we gather in a basement and we relive tales of our teenage trauma for your entertainment. These are going to be all true stories of things like failing tests and first crushes and breaking bones and smoking weed and all kinds of things that we do as teenagers. But mostly, it's about coming of age. That's what the show is really founded upon. And I just wanted to note, we started the show here in 2020, in February of 2020. Not the best time to start a new show. We did 5 shows here as part of the Frigid Fringe, it was called then. Now it's the New York City Fringe. And then the pandemic started, like immediately after, like 2 days after our last show. So then we pivoted and we started doing streaming shows, which were weird, but fun, you know? And we did 14 of those. And then I just counted last night because I was curious, and we've done, this is our 31st live show, and if my computation is correct, this is our 50th show. Yeah. Yes, very exciting. We got a really wonderful group of some of the best storytellers that New York City has to offer here for you tonight. And before I bring them up, though, we're going to wait for some of our latecomers to arrive, and I'm going to tell you a little story about my own teenage past. Yeah, let's go. So I now have a 2-year-old daughter. And I don't know if you've been around 2-year-olds much. They have a lot of energy. And you got to do something about that as a parent. And so we've just started her playing soccer, which is adorable. We call it playing soccer. It's really just like a bunch of toddlers running around. There is a ball there. Occasionally they kick it. More often they pick it up. It doesn't matter. It's fun. They get all their energy out and they nap really well afterwards. But seeing her playing, brought me back to my youth, of course. I played soccer since I was 5 years old. And I played all the sports when I was little because I guess I had a lot of energy too. So I played soccer, baseball, basketball, all of it. But the only one that I was really ever good at was soccer. I was always one of the best players on my team. And some ages like 5 to 11, you play where your parents pay a fee and you're on the team. That's it, right? You get to play at least 2 quarters of the game. There's orange slices at halftime. Like it's you soccer. You guys played. But then I got to middle school, got to 7th grade, and now you have to try out for the team. You have to make the team, and for the first time, I'm playing against kids who are like 2 years older than me. And I was a very small, slight 7th grader, so it was intimidating going out there and trying out. But I was pretty skilled. I could hang, even though I was getting pushed around a lot, and I did make the team. But I didn't really get to play a whole lot. It was a crushing blow to my ego for sure. But I improved a lot. I learned a lot. I got to know the coach, and I felt pretty good when I was coming back for my 8th grade year. This is me in the 8th grade. Ladies, form an orderly queue, please. So I came back in 8th grade, and I'm feeling like I'm taller, I'm stronger, I'm faster, like I'm a better player now. I'm going to be a real part of the team this year, and I get to the spring tryouts, and it's a 2-day tryouts, grueling practices that they put us through, and when we walk up to the field, the coach is not there. It's a new coach. He's this British guy, a university student from a local college, and he's very quickly, I'm not going to do the accent, okay, but he's just like, all right, look, I don't care who was on the team last year, all right, I'm not going to even bother learning your names yet. I just want to see who's the best players. You're just going to make the team, okay? And so I'm like, all right, this is good. This is a fresh start for me, and so I'm out there, running really hard, playing my heart out at the 2 days of tryouts, and I feel really good about my performance. Like I'm not the best player, but I'm one of the better players for sure. And there's only like maybe 5 guys that are going to get cut from the team anyway. So after the second day of tryouts, they post the roster of the team in the gym first thing in the morning. And I get off the bus and I rush over to the gym and I get there before everybody else, go straight over to the board, waiting to see my name. And, you probably figured out by now if I'm telling the story. It's not there. My name's not there. And I flip the page over. Maybe there's a page 2. No, I'm not on the team. And I can't understand how this could have happened, especially when I look down the list and I see some of the names on there. I mean, the kids who were just like clearly worse than I am. It's this one guy, Derek, who he's one of my friends. I don't want to speak badly about him, but he's got 2 left feet. He's not an athlete. He didn't even try out in 7th grade. And he's on the roster. And I see him later in the day in social studies class, and I can tell he's really excited to be on the team. He's trying to be nice to me and not brag about it because he knows that I feel bad, but I can just see him beaming with pride. And it's about then that I realize Derek and I look strikingly similar. Yeah, we both have this brown long hair, really skinny frame, the same basic face. And I'm like, this coach, he mixed us up. There's no other explanation for this. And I start talking to my friends, and they're like, oh, you got to just go tell the coach. Tell him what happened. It'll be fine. Derek will get kicked off the team. You'll be on. I don't want Derek to get kicked off the team, though. So I decided I'm going to go talk to the coach. I'm not going to say Derek's name. I may imply that something has happened. I'm not going to say what you did. So school's over, and I start walking over to the field. And all the other players are walking over there, kind of like, why are you got cut? Why are you walking over here? And this one kid, a 9th grader, Tommy, stops me. Tommy is the best player on the team. He also hates my guts. There's a situation where Tommy really liked a girl, and that girl liked me. And then nothing happened for anybody because I was way too awkward to ever even make a move with this girl. And so it's just one of those teenage dramas where nobody even gets anything out of it except for at the end of it, Tommy hates me because he thinks I somehow had to do with him not getting the girl. And so he stops me and he's like, all right, I heard you're going to talk to the coach. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, obviously, right? Derek. And he's like, if you go talk to the coach and try to get on the team, I'm going to kick your ass. I've been bullied a lot in middle school, okay, but never by a soccer player. I don't think Tommy could kick my ass. He's smaller than me, actually, and we're both just all skin and bones and sinew. We don't even have any muscles, And maybe if he and his friends catch me sometime, they could kick my ass, but it's all I've got. It's the only sport I'm good at. It's my only extracurricular activity, so I'm like, okay, Tommy. And I just keep walking, and I go straight to the coach. And he doesn't even know that he's cut me. You know what I mean? He just thinks I'm one of the players. And I'm like, hey, coach, I saw the roster. My name's not on the list. And I just feel like there's been some sort of mistake. And as I'm pleading my case to him, he keeps looking over my shoulder at the other kids who are putting their cleats on. And finally I look, and he's looking at Derek. He knows what's happened. It's exactly what we thought happened. And he just kind of gets sheepish all of a sudden. And it's like, all right, well, I mean, all right, maybe you just stay today, see how you do. I don't know, maybe we need another player on the team. I don't know, you stay for today. So, I have the practice of my life, right? I'm running as hard as I can all over the field all the time. Every pass is crisp and precise. Every shot right into the top corner of the goal. And at the end of the practice, he's like, I think you should stay on the team, And to his credit, though, he doesn't cut Derek, even though at the first practice, Derek falls down several times, even when no one's around him. And Lauren, if you could, to the next photo there. I brought the receipts. Okay. I'm sorry that it's so grainy. The picture is this big in my middle school yearbook. But that's me in the red, and that's Derek in the green. As it turned out, Derek didn't get to play a whole lot, but he did get to practice every day and be with all of us. And I ended up becoming one of the starting midfielders. And Tommy did not kick my ass. Because, like I said, I'm not sure he could have, but even if he wanted to, Once I started playing midfield, he was a forward, and I would always pass him the ball because he's the best player, so he could try to shoot and score, and he was pretty happy with that. So this is one of those rare stories where I feel like everything turned out happily ever after. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you. Okay, with that, I think we'll get the show rolling. You guys ready for your first storyteller? Yeah, all right. Really excited to have our first storyteller back on the show. This is her third appearance with us. She has done her solo show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and her TV pilot is a finalist at the ATX TV Festival. Very exciting stuff. Please welcome to the stage, Ann Chun.
Hello. Give up for Will, everybody. Happy 50th. Happy 50th. So, my name is Ann, and my last name is Chun. Yeah, in English, that translates to I'm from Thailand. Yeah, born and raised there. In 9th grade, I started going to a new school. And both my previous and new schools were international schools. And one thing to know about international schools in Thailand is that they put a cap on how many local Thai students they'll admit. So, that's to ensure fair representation of white families in the country. Yeah, if there was a Republican Party in Thailand, this would be the DI strategy that they would approve of. Yeah. So, because my previous school was so small, I was the only Thai girl in my class. And with this new school, I became one of 10. So it's the first time I'm hanging out with so many Thai girls all at once. And unlike what the pictures in the school's website might make you think, students were not intermingling across ethnicity lines. Okay, it was pretty segregated, unless if you're hot. If you're hot, you get to hang out with other hot people from other cultures. Yeah. Each country get to send their number one hottest person to represent them, to join the hot people collective. It's like the G7 summit, but for teenagers with abs and sharp eyebrows. And unfortunately, my GDP did not qualify for a membership. GDP being genetic desirability power did not make the cut. It's the first time I hang out with so many Thai girls. Up until then, I was hanging out with Dutch, Finnish, and American girls who, like to raise their hands in class and play sports and listen to Slipknot. These Thai girls, on the other hand, were allergic to the sun, carry designer handbags, and think Linkin Park's music is edgy. Nope. But, I didn't have a choice, so I forced myself to blend in, and I got along with them fine. Until 10th grade, a new girl joined our class. Her name is Bin Bin. Yeah, that's her name. According to her older brother, her parents gave her that name because they found her in a trash can. Older siblings, am I right? Bin Bin, she was so cool. She was so authentic. She is half Thai, half Taiwanese, and had been living in California for the past few years. So she was just as clueless to Thai slangs and culture as I am. But she carried such confidence. Everybody was just drawn to her. Even the G7 teenagers liked her and wanted to be friends with her. But Bin Bin never wanted to pigeonhole herself in a group. She just floated from clique to clique. But when it came to her and I, we were just one clique. She became my best friend and my tennis captain. That was us after practice, just me trying to, get on top of her. in a non-gay way. Maybe it was gay. I don't know. I'm still sexually confused, guys. Can you tell by my hair? Anyway, so Bin Bin has an older brother named Pan Pan. And yep, that's his name. And if I were to tell him his name is Pan Pan because it's short for panic, because that's how he made me feel, because I had the biggest crush on him. So Pan Pan was an artist, and when I found out that he has a photo exhibit coming up, I decided to cover it for this lifestyle magazine I was interning at. This show was called Kiss My Rears, and it's a series of self-portraits of his backside. Did I know that he was gay? I had an inkling. But he's a really talented young man with a shapely butt, like my 16-year-old heart, didn't stand a chance. So the event happened. I was taking photos, taking notes, talking to people. Meanwhile, Bin Bin was being a very supportive sister and welcome guests, including the ambassador of Taiwan, who happened to be friends with their mom. And based on his reaction, their mom definitely did not brief him on the motif of the exhibit. After the show ended, Pan Pan, Bin Bin, and I went out to celebrate at a gay bar. We got really drunk. We were 16 years old, which is the legal drinking age to take shots in Bangkok. Okay, and if there is a place for 16-year-old teenage girls to get really drunk, it is a gay bar in Bangkok. Okay, no one wanted to touch us there. We were very, very safe. So we were drinking and dancing, and then everything became a blur. And next thing I know, I felt something wet on my leg, and then I hear a trickling sound. I open up my eyes, and I see Bin Bin's family's Pomeranian strutting out of the bathroom, which is where I ended up. I ended up in the floor of their family's bathroom next to the toilet. Yeah. But I was still so out of it. I could barely keep my eyes open, so I continued to pass out. And then later on, I heard a voice. It goes, "Oh, hello." And I opened my eyes, and it's Bin Bin's mother. And she just closed the door and went away. And I was like, this woman just walked into her daughter's friend, laying on the floor with her dog's piss on this friend's leg. And all she said was, "Oh, hello." She is the coolest mom ever. I love this woman. I love this family. And I fell back asleep, but then I finally managed to crawl myself back to Bin Bin's bed, and we woke up, got some food, and played hangover tennis. And this became a ritual, like going out to gay bars, not getting touched, and me crashing in their house. Flash forward 15 years later, I had been living in New York for some time, doing stand-up, and I was planning my annual trip to Bangkok. My Thai stand-up friend, I really, really wanted to do stand-up at Bin Bin's brother's bar. At this point, Pan Pan had become a bona fide superstar under the identity of Pangina Heels.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, exactly.
Whoa.
Whoa, exactly. So if you don't know Pangina Heels, global icon, former contestant of RuPaul's Drag Race, judge of Drag Race Thailand. Yep, that was the band I had a crush on. But he's an awesome bar in Bangkok called House of Heels, and I asked him, been like, hey, do you think your brother would be okay if we like do stand up there? And she talked to Pan Pan for me, and not only did Pan Pan agree for us to do a show there, he also hosted for us. So it was so cool. And after 15 years, I finally got to take a photo with him. Oh. Like, look at how hard I'm cheesing here. I'm not smiling super hard, just because I'm standing next to Pangina Heels, but because I'm also standing next to my best friend, my tennis captain, Bin Bin Nakwasit. I love her so much, and every time I'm with her, it's like nothing has changed. All right, thank you.
All right, who among us has not been pissed on by a Pomeranian when you're passed out drunk in a bathroom, right? Oh my God. Growing up as a teenager in Bangkok sounds like way more fun than Charlotte, North Carolina, I have to say. I'm a little bit jealous after hearing that. I didn't mention this before because it's sold out, but Ann also has a play that she wrote that they're doing a reading of. It's like next week, right? It's sold out, but you could try to get on the wait list if you really want to go. So follow her on the Instagram and see more of her stuff there. One more time for Ann, everybody. Great story. All right. Our next storyteller is coming to our stage for the first time. Really excited to have him here. He is an improviser and a storyteller who performs often at the Magnet Theater. Please welcome to the stage, Chris Connolly.
Thanks, Will. How's everybody doing? Oh my God. Now that was taken in 1983 when I was 17 years old. I'm in the photography club. You can see the camera around so I was not, in the cool group either at all, in high school. But ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be like an actor. I was very into performing arts. I remember going to Radio City Music Hall when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and walking through the doors, and the Rockettes were playing, and I was absolutely, in love with it. Now, my parents, my older brother Charlie, he was in football. My parents, I just really wanted to be in performing arts, and of course, my parents, I think, thought, well, if a boy wants to be in performing arts that badly, he must be gay, so they didn't encourage it. And the thing is that turned out it was right. I am gay. But they never supported it, but I always had this hankering, this desire to perform and stuff. So when I got to high school, which that picture is from, it's one of the few good pictures I've got of me. I took this from my yearbook. I found it online. My high school picture was so bad, my parents didn't even buy it, And I wasn't disappointed either when they didn't. I was like, no, I wouldn't buy it either. I don't photograph very well. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so I went into high school, and I decided to try out for the school play that year. And my high school was Oceanside, New York, which is a Jewish, Italian, one old friend called it a nouveau riche hellhole, and it basically is. It's Long Island. That's all you need to know. Anyway, so I thought, well, so I tried it for the school play because I got in because I have a very strong singing voice. I was in the choir, and the choir teacher, Mr. Rothgarber, really advocated for me. And I, tried out. I sang "Get Me to the Church on Time" from my Fair Lady, whatever. That's the details. Anyway, when I got into it, I thought, oh my God, finally I found my people. I was so not popular in high school, I wasn't even bullied very much. It's like, I was so in between that I just were you bullied? No. Were you popular? No. I was just, I don't know what I would describe it. Anyway, I was just nothing, I guess, whatever. I don't want to digress. Anyway, so well, here's the other thing. the music, they did a straight play in the fall and a musical in the winter or whatever. They were going to do West Side Story. Okay, a Jewish, Italian, Irish neighborhood doing West Side Story. Yeah, you can. They wouldn't get away with it now, but back then, unbelievable. But there had been they decided to cancel it because there was a rumble, I'm not kidding, between the Oceanside gang and the gang from Baldwin, which was where the other town was right next to us. Now, this is really weird. They had a rumble in the Burger King parking lot in Baldwin. And the Baldwin gang was actually racially integrated. You know, it was like blacks and whites fighting the Jews and the Italians from Oceanside. It was so bad, they said, we can't do West Side Story, it's too influential. Oh, and the theater kids, they were all bummed out. We don't, whatever. So they decided, or the director, this guy named Mr. Barry Kaplan, decided to do Finian's Rainbow. Does anybody know this musical Finian's Rainbow? Really? Well, okay. Well, you must be a theater person. That's why. Oh, they did. Okay. I didn't even think they ever revived that thing. Anyway, so I thought I found my people. It's all going to be great. I found my home. No. Little did I realize that, holy shit, High School Musical stuff is something like out of All About Eve. Okay, I'm gay, so I know all about Eve. I mean, it was unbelievable. So first thing is, there was a rule that I was a sophomore, and all the lead roles were supposed to go to seniors only, right? So the two leads, they were to senior. But guess who got the lead playing Og, a leprechaun? It was the director's son, and he was a sophomore. So I really kind of played with my mind, like, holy shit. I was like, how could he cast him? I thought maybe he's really good. No, he sucked, okay? I'm like, why would he, I still thought the world operated fairly, that everything was, it's theater, the most talented people will get the roles. No, he cast his fucking son, David, in the role, right? And I tried so hard. You had to get a certain number of points for being in a show and helping backstage. You got these points, and if you got a number of points, you became a thespian. It was part of, a designation, right, in the school. So I worked my fucking ass off. I worked backstage at the straight play, which was The Good Doctor by Neil Simon. I don't think anybody knows. You know that one? No. Oh, you do, of course. I don't think they revive that one very often. I mean, I was there every day after school, building sets, paper mache shit, whatever. So I was keeping a tally of my, and I realized, I got enough points that I should be a thespian. One of the few sophomores ever to be, taken in, becoming a thespian. I was so into it. But the show, well, first of all, it sucked, okay? The teacher, I didn't know how to dance, okay? And I was just a klutz. I had a good voice, and the director, said to me one day, he was giving notes, he goes, Chris, you're dancing, you're terrible, please stop. Oh. So I didn't know what to do, so I kept trying to dance. So he finally said, Chris, I'm gonna cast you as a character named Sonny, who's blind. So I became Sonny, the blind sharecropper or whatever in the show. I don't know, one of the townspeople, just so I didn't have to dance, So I tried to figure out a way to put something of myself into the show, and the Act 2 opens up with a number called When the Idle Poor Become the Idle Rich. And these townspeople suddenly have wealth and money. So I realized, Sonny, he probably has a cane or a walking stick. So I decided he'd have a new one. And I was the first one out on stage. And I did this whole thing where I twirled a cane. And it was great. Everybody loved it. The director didn't. He was pissed at me for coming up. He didn't want to get rid of it. But because I came up with it, he didn't like it. And he gave me the hardest time through the whole production, constantly notes about, I'm singing too loud, you're making too much attention to yourself, ramp it down. I mean, it was just constantly on me about this, and nobody defended me, and I just felt so alone through this whole thing. That at the end of the show, when one of the last performances we did, he came around and he shook people's hands. He didn't shake mine. He walked right past me. I was just. And then on top of everything else, I didn't get into thespians. They didn't give me all the points I should have gotten. And I tried so hard. I went to, the head of thespians, and they hemmed and hawed about, oh, I guess we forgot to give you the points for your backstage work and all this stuff. And I felt so, it was so unjustified. I was so upset. And then one day I just realized they didn't forget. They just didn't want me, And I was just like, fuck, that was just... So that was it for me in doing high school musicals after that. I just, I stopped. I just couldn't deal with it. And 40 years later, believe me, I'm still salty about it. It's like, fuck you, Mr. Kaplan, But I never gave it up. I never somehow, I didn't perform ever until I started doing stand-up in 2017, right around the corner here. And that changed my entire life because that's what made me come out as a gay man and do a lot of changes to my life that I'm still experiencing. So this is great, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Right. Chris's storytelling show at Magnet is called Stop Me If You Think You've Heard This One Before. And the next show is next Friday night. So check that out. I had a really opposite experience that you had in high school theater, actually, because I was roped into doing a musical because they didn't have enough people to be in it. And my English teacher, who was also the director, told me, you should come do the musical because it's a great way to meet girls. Which she didn't say the rest of it. The rest of it was because you'll be the only straight guy, and there are only a couple of other guys, and then it's just all girls. And she was right. It was a great way to meet girls, and I got hooked. And you know what? I was in that next fall was The Good Doctor. Yeah, I know. Go figure. Yeah, but I mean, also like I wouldn't be up here doing this stuff if it weren't for my experiences in high school theater too. So I feel like it's a common thread at these shows, right? I mean, why else are we gathering here in this basement to listen to these stories? All right, one more time for Chris, everybody. Great story. Great story. All right, our next performer has a very long list of credits. I can't even possibly say them all. He's been on Sirius XM. He's been on Oxygen. He's been in Wired Magazine, the New York Comedy Festival, San Francisco Comedy Festival, Edinburgh Fringe Festival, Gotham Storytelling Festival. I really could keep going, but I'll stop there because now we're also going to add to the list Awkward Teenage Years. Please welcome Calvin Cato.
You're doing too much. Y2K, y'all. Remember that? Remember when we thought our internet was going to explode and dogs were going to eat the cats? That was crazy. So, okay, I have to pre-warn you. This is going to be a bit of a trust fall. Are you going to stay with me on this? Okay. So, I'm going to have to take you back in time. We're going to go to the late 90s. You remember the late 90s at all? Who was alive in the late 90s? Everyone's 22 these days. Thank you. I have to make sure. Late 90s, that was when our feminist icons were Buffy, Sailor Moon, and Queen Latifah. Like, we're going there. We're living single in the back. Hey, I see you. So, I know my audience. I saw y'all in the back like Rosa Parks. What we doing? Anyway, so this is the late 90s. I had just started high school, and I went to this school called Stuyvesant High School in New York City, which, thanks. I was smart, but not smart enough because I do this now. And so I got to Stuyvesant, and here's the thing is, I was pretty smart back then. Like, I was originally, like, my whole path was going to be a doctor. That was my whole plan. And I was the only kid in my junior high school who got into Stuyvesant. And when I was in junior high, I was a huge nerd. Like, I owned a Sega Genesis and a Super Nintendo. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was not fighting the console wars. I won all of them. Like, that's where I was at. And I was like, and I didn't have a lot of friends in junior high. And when I got into high school, I was like, I'm going to change this. I want to have friends. I want to be like Saved by the Bell. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to wear like a sweater around my fucking waist. Like, I thought I was going to be cute. And so I was like, I had to figure out how to make friends, but I still had all my like nerd tendencies. Like, I would still play Magic the Gathering in secret, you know, and I was like, how do I make friends? And my freshman year of high school, I managed to get a locker on the 9th floor, because Stuyvesant is 10 floors, and like usually like the freshmen get like the top 2 floors because they just hate us, and they're like, you need to exercise and be less fat so you can make it down to the 2nd floor. That's how it was. It's not me, it's fat shaming. It was the 90s, a different time. So I got this locker, and I met this like really cool like group of friends. A lot of us happened to share the same classes, and we were all like, you know, just like a nice like tight-knit circle, and we were all people who were trying to reinvent ourselves. And so I had these friends. So the core group was Mark, Catherine, Brian, Adam, and Stacy. I'm changing all of their names because this is being recorded. So, and it's going to be really hard. I hope you took notes. I will not remember all of these names. So, I'm counting on you, sir. Look, you're the one with the fatigues. I'm trusting you. So we formed this tight group. It was really fun. We would go out to lunch together. We'd talk after lunch. We like all watched Dawson's Creek, and we would catch up, you know, the next day. Like we had our whole WB lineup that we would like catch up at. And I was like, oh, these are gonna be my people. We're all watching the same like primetime dramas. We got this. And Mark and Catherine, I was like, there's a little something there. I feel like they have a crush on each other. And again, very important, I watched a lot of WB shows. I watched Dawson's Creek. I was a Felicity person. I went to One Tree Hill as well. Like, I don't know why. But I was like, you know, I want to do something to see if like they'll like, you know, get it together. And so I was talking to my friend Brian about it. And Brian was like, I don't think you should do this. This is weird. And I was like, no. I got a plan. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And so what I did was I wrote a story about them, a romance story about them getting together. And so this is where the trust fall comes in. This is gonna be a weird, awkward teenage story. I wrote an awkward teenage story. And there is sex in it. And if you're on board, I will read this to you right now. Are you ready? For it may potentially be one of the most awkward teenage stories ever. And you'll quickly realize that I should have known I was gay at 14. Should have known. Of course, I was gonna have cassette tape earrings in, 30 years. Anyway, so I'm gonna read the story to you. I showed it to them, and just as a caveat, I showed it to one of the friends, and she wrote "painfully virginal" in the liner notes. So the story's called First Helpings. First Helpings. You rented a lovely hotel room, Mark, said a white woman. With rosy cheeks, blue eyes, and short blonde hair. Anything for you, Catherine. That's my straight voice. First Helpings is an expensive and clean hotel. I wouldn't want anything less, my little cupcake, said a tanned black man. Which, that's redundant. With brown eyes, black hair, and braces. Braces in the sex story. This is going to be our special night, Catherine said, putting emphasis on the word special. French kissing, they fall onto the bed. As she took a breath, Catherine slowly but seductively takes off her shirt, revealing 2 supple breasts. 2, because I'm not gay! 2 supple breasts. Yum, Mark says. Yum. And gets to work sucking her breast sensuously. Like ripe apples, ripe apples. You know them Granny Smith titties. She proceeds to take off her shirt, continuity issues. She goes down to his pants and unbuckles the belt, revealing tight-fitting briefs where a nearly erect penis pokes out of the fabric. Mark then says, I've shown you mine, now show me yours. Catherine quickly drops her pants, ready to get it on. She leaps onto the bed, lying on her back. Fuck me, she ejaculates softly into the air. I was waiting for the PSATs. Mark gets on top of her and lets down his briefs, revealing a 7-incher. A good-sized dick for a good-sized man. That is actual words I wrote. Wanna get down and blow, he asks. I couldn't think of anything better, she retorts. This is Shakespeare, and puts his penis in her mouth. The blinds are open in their room. In the night sky is a full moon and a few stars. The celestial light of the moon shines down upon Catherine and Mark, consummating their union. You look so beautiful sucking down there, Mark growls. A sly smile forms upon his face. He ejaculates after 5 minutes, forcing Catherine to quickly gulp down his semen. You came too quickly, Catherine said, annoyed. I wanted it to last. I'm sorry, I just couldn't hold it in, Mark apologizes. He takes her up off of her knees. They're both now laying down on the bed, locked in a passionate kiss, all the while groping each other. Their lips seem to be glued together, but a sudden thrust tears them apart. Oh, she says, surprised. Oh, she screams again. Mark tries to push his penis inside of her more. You're so tight in there, he says. Try to spread your legs more. Not how that works. I am trying, she says. Just try a little more. Ooh. Stage notes. I'm sorry, I'm trying too hard. I don't want to hurt you. He starts to pull his penis out of her vagina. No, keep going. I'll say when to stop. Feminism. Another thrust occurs. It is so powerful that his scrotum slaps against her skin. Oh, she moans. And then yes. She grabs his buttocks and he grabs her lower back, both trying to link themselves into one orgasmic being. They both gyrate voraciously leading up to the climax. Droplets of sweat form upon each of them. Finally, Mark ejaculates, shooting hard between Catherine's legs. They both pant furiously like wild animals. Was it good for you, Mark asks. Perfect, Catherine purrs. So I did show this story to them, and they stopped talking to me. But I showed it to my friend Brian, and I was like, I know that you're not talking to me anymore. Do you think that we can fix this? And he goes, yeah, this is going to take a couple months to forget about it. And then he goes, as bad as that story was, there were certain things that were kind of cool. And I was like, oh, well, like what? And then he proceeded to blow me in a stairwell. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Wow. I feel like when you introduced the story and you said there's sex in it, that's really underselling it. Like the story just was sex. Like that's it, right? I do want to take this opportunity to say hi, Mom, watching at home. All the other live streamers, probably just my mom. This is going to be her favorite one of the night, I'm quite certain. That was incredible. Incredible. I don't know. I have nothing else to say. One more time for Calvin Cato, please. Wow. I want to know what else is in that notebook, right? I mean, oh my gosh. Okay, all right. Keep the show moving. Next guy, hard act to follow. Sorry. This is his second time on the show. Super excited to have him back. He's a writer and comedian who lives in Brooklyn, and he's appeared on Stories from the Stage on PBS and the Risk podcast. Please welcome Hunter Gardner.
Oh, hi, nice people. Yeah. Can you believe I never had a girlfriend until I was 30 years old? With that riz, as the kids would say, I think. Jeez. That's probably wrong, right? So every time I've ever taken the Myers-Briggs personality test, I've been a clear E for extrovert. I happen to love the Myers-Briggs personality test, probably because I'm an extrovert. And growing up, my extroversion was kind of like a superpower of mine, right? It made me eager to get out into the world and meet all different kinds of people and try new things. And broadly, it meant that I was well liked. But I was definitely not cool. Those two things are not the same. Just by means of example, like drummers are cool, right? Grandmas are well liked. Like, I was a grandma, like, still kind of am. But I thought I got my shot in 2004. I'm 16 years old. I thought I got my shot to be cool when my dad gifted me a 1996 Ford Mustang. Right? So now it's like I'm still a grandma, but now I own a drum set. Like, this car is cool. And my friends were quickly like, no, Hunter, it is not. The Mustang brand name was doing most of the heavy lifting in the cool department because, this Mustang, like I said, if I'm doing my math right, it was like 8 years old at the time. It was forest green, which is really kind of like more appropriate for like a toy tractor, than a cool car. And it didn't have a spoiler on the back. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, it's like that like fin looking like thing, a spoiler. I don't know what function that serves, other than to just like announce to the world, like, this ain't no Honda Accord, pal, There's a big old scratch on the roof because the previous owner would put their kayak on it, like we would do with a Mustang, right? And also judging from the smell of the cloth interior, the previous owner was also most definitely a chain smoker. This car was not gonna make me cool. It definitely didn't push the needle in the girl department. In fact, I vividly remember one time an all-out make-out pause because the back seat was so cramped. So this car was not getting me really any cool points. But at that same time, I was in a Bible study, also not cool. But my Bible study leader was a guy, he went to Wake Forest, which was the private school in my hometown of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Richard was his name. And he was like kind of classic fraternity guy, $100 haircut, and he had the car to match. He had a BMW. For spring, right? Okay. For spring break that year, Richard was going to go on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic, and for some reason, he was like, hey, Hunter, why don't you take my car for the week? And I was like, hell yeah. And my mom was like, absolutely not. Because unlike Richard, my mom knew that I had failed my driver's test twice. But still, Richard's BMW ended up in my gravel driveway, and my friends found out. And they were like, okay, this car is cool. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, let's take it for a joyride. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, and we want to bring water balloons. And I was like, sure. So we're in the BMW, we're driving around the streets of Winston-Salem, and I actually do feel so cool. Like, we have the radio on, and I can like feel my friends' admiration for me. It's just like, hell yeah. And then the water balloons came out. And I would like to pretend that I didn't know what they wanted to do with these water balloons, but of course I did. They wanted to throw them at other cars. And sure enough, they ding one, and that did not go over well. I don't know what we thought was going to happen. Like, but do we think people were just going to be chill? Like, oh, free car wash, I was going to go this Sunday, but, No, of course not. This guy is a large man in a very large truck, and going, he's in the other lane, going the opposite direction. He immediately does a U-turn through the turn lane and starts to chase us, as he should. And I'm getting some like real distance, but then I hit a red light, and I swear to God, just like a horror movie, he appears behind us. Like, he is directly behind us, and I can see like his hands gripping the wheel like it's my neck, and just like beaming at me through the windshield, and he's like revving his engine and beeping his horn. And my friends and I, of course, are like all like freaking out, but like in that like like it's a life or death situation. So like no one talk, don't look at him, just like let this man cook, get us out of here. So light turns green. I book it off the line like I'm in one of those like 1950s drag races or something. Like someone just dropped a scarf, and I'm weaving in and out of traffic. And it becomes pretty clear after a couple minutes that like we are not gonna like out willpower this guy, He is out for blood, as he should be. But fortunately, we're like near a really familiar neighborhood, so I turn into the neighborhood, because I'm gonna kind of do kind of like this like evade like maze type thing, right? Like I don't know, like some kid in like a Disney adventure movie where he's just like, yeah, I might be the underdog here, but you don't know the neighborhood like I do. So we got a Home Alone situation, But like I have so much adrenaline going through my veins, and I'm like so nervous that I keep using my turn signal. So yeah, it's kind of hard to lose a tail when you're obeying all minor traffic laws. Just trying to redeem myself from failing my driver's license test twice, I guess. But finally, my friends are like, "Hey, stop using your damn signal." I'm like, "Right, and that is a good idea." Okay, and so I stopped doing that, and I'm in this neighborhood, and I turn 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 into a cul-de-sac. A dead end for the car and maybe for me. And now my friends are absolutely vocally like freaking out because me being like the guy that's just like, don't look, like let this dude save our life, I am about to end it. And so everyone is screaming. My friend Chris is like, kill the lights, but like there's fight, flight, or freeze. I'm a freeze person, so I'm just like frozen, And but like Chris reaches over, kills the lights. I come back to, I turn the car off, and again it's just like a horror movie, where like it's night and like you're in the woods and you just know the killer's right there and your time's about to come, and we wait for our imminent deaths, and the truck never comes. We escaped. We never touched another water balloon again. For the rest of the week, Richard's BMW sat in the driveway just where my mom wanted it to be. And when Richard got back from the Dominican Republic, I could not hand him the keys fast enough. And I remember when I did, he smiled and he said, "Hey man, thanks for filling the tank back up with gas." And I didn't have the heart to tell him that I didn't need to. One-time ride. And in hindsight, I don't really know why Richard let me have his car for a week, why he thought I was responsible enough to do that. I wasn't even the most responsible guy in our Bible study, There was an Eagle Scout, But maybe Richard just remembered what it was like to be 16 years old, desperately wanting to be cool. And he handed me the keys because for one glorious week, he wanted me to believe that I was. Thank you.
So I live in suburban New Jersey, and I see that play out every time I get on the Garden State Parkway, like all of it. Somebody chasing somebody else, high speeds, totally insane. Road rage is real. You got to be careful out there. I used to do a lot of flipping the bird. People would cut me off, and that kind of thing. I would just immediately be like, But now it's like, you don't know who you're flipping off, So I've switched, and now I just do this. I do a thumbs down to people. It's extremely condescending, but it's kind of non-confrontational. Like, no one's going to cut you off and get out of their car because you give them a thumbs down, And I do it a lot. It's effective. One more time for Hunter, everybody. Great story. All right, we've got one more storyteller for you, but before we get to him, I just want to quickly do a little housekeeping here. So perhaps you are sitting out there in our audience or at home watching the live stream. You're listening to these stories and you're thinking, oh, I actually have a really funny or sad or interesting story about my teenage years too. And we encourage you to please tell us about it. You can email a pitch of your story if you'd like to appear on the show to awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. That's how we get most of our storytellers. In fact, Chris, we'd never met before, just sent us a pitch. That's how he's on the show tonight. That's how we met Hunter as well, I believe. And we really do encourage you to do that. We do the show once every 2 months on the first Wednesday. So we have another show coming up in July, and then September and November. And they're not booked yet, so, pitch us your story. And if you'd like to follow us on the social media, we are most active on Instagram. We're at Awkward Teenage Years at all the places, excuse me, except for X. We don't do Nazi fascist stuff, so you will not find us there. And we have threads. Everybody has threads, but nobody's really doing that, right? But we're there. We are there. And then we're on Facebook. Again, is anybody doing that anymore besides our parents? Probably not. So the other thing is I want to say is YouTube. We have all of those previous 49, well, one of them didn't make it to YouTube. 48 of the 49, Jameer was on that show. That's the show we don't talk about. But it was a tech thing. It wasn't like a weird, that sounded weird. So 48 of those 49 shows, they're on the internet. And you can see them all on our YouTube channel if you just search up at Awkward Teenage Years. We've had so many amazing guest storytellers over the years. We'd love for you to check those out and subscribe, if you're at the site. And that's it. That's the little song and dance. So now I would like to bring up your final storyteller for the evening. This is, I think, his 4th time on the show, counting the weird one. Yeah. He's a host at The Moth, both here in New York City and traveling around doing the main stage shows. He's been on Story Collider, he's been on Risk, and he's working, he just told me today, on his own new solo show. Very excited about that. Maybe we'll see it later this year, 2026. I don't know. Hopefully soon. My friend Jameer Pond.
Okay. Get adjusted. Is this me now? Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's that young gentleman right there. I was just in LA actually, and I was talking to my friend Robin. Like we met each other out here. We catching up, and we talking about like dating and dating woes and things like that. And she's like, you got any like friends that are like fine and single and smart? And I'm like, not really. Like a lot of my friends, you get 2 out of 3. But everybody ain't, but the ones who are, fine and, smart are not single. But they do cheat on the side a little bit if you into that. if you throw your morals out the window, I could hook you up with somebody. And she was like, nah, that's not kind of the direction I'm going in. And so she was just like, all right. But then, I asked for her. I usually don't ask for myself. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You got yourself together. What about your friends? Like, you got any friends that would, like, date me? And she was like, honestly, Jameer, like, my friends are, like, 5, 6, and up, so... like, so the fuck... I'm like, what? Like, I got offended. I'm easily triggered by height. So... I was like, well, your friends are obviously waiting for taller men, right? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, those are the ones I was talking about who would cheat on you on the side. Like, the tall friends that I know ain't shit. The more height you have after 6'3", those morals kind of go out the window. And socially, you're just selling your royal oats. I don't care who you are. If you're 6'4", 6'5", it's your social obligation to cheat, in my mind. And so she was like, Jameer, you're such a hater. Like, why are you, you're hating? And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking hating. Yeah, you're right, I'm hating. Like, all my bullies have been tall or taller than me. Craig, Mark, rapper Travis Scott. He kicked me off a stage 10 years ago. He was a bully. Cassandra from 2nd grade. I didn't have any friends on my block. I had an imaginary block, and I had an imaginary bully growing up, and his name was AJ, and he was taller than me. So my hate for tall people runs deep on a non-imaginary and an imaginary level. So she was like, well, like, how did this happen? And it was kind of a moment, like, I had to really think about it. And I remember, like, being 15, and I went to Catholic school. I went to Bishop Ford Central Catholic High School. You a fan? I know it. Okay, all right, cool. All right. Go Falcons, all right? We was there, Bishop Ford Central Catholic High School. I remember, though, I had a cool cousin, my cool cousin Sean, and one night, him and his friends took me to my first like public school party. Like, and you know, public school parties are crazy different. I'm 15. You know, like I go to parties at school. I'm going up to the young ladies. Hey, can I have a dance with you? You know, I respect you. We're doing this. You know, when I'm not getting my business involved with their pleasure, like very distant, swaying back and forth. I go to this public school party. It had to be like 14 to 18 years old. Just weed smoke in the air. It just smelled like sweat and velour suit and pre-pubescent energy. And everybody's in there just going crazy. And so we're standing on a wall, and then all we hear on the DJ booth is, shake that thing, man, Annabella, shake that thing, y'all, Annabella. And like, people is flipping the fuck out. Sean Paul had just came out with Get Busy, and this was the song of my school year when I'm 15. So all my cousin and his friends, you know, girls just start pulling them and just start dropping ass on them. And so I'm kind of standing like, it's like wartime, and people are just getting knocked off and on the wall and on the floor. And then this one small, like, she was thick. She wasn't big, she wasn't petite, but she was thick. You know, she just started throwing her ass on me, like, get busy, come on, shake that, rule it all side window. And I had never got ass thrown on me. So I don't really know what to do. So I'm just kind of like looking over and navigating. And her friends were like, break that motherfucker, girl. Throw that ass back and break him. And so then my friends jumped off of the girls like, oh no, she's not gonna break you, and hold my back up so I could properly get my grind on. I did not know that this was a combative battle. The object was to break the man or have the man break the girl so that you could assert dominance. And then whoever won, you got the number. I didn't know this. I went to Catholic school. So my friends are holding me up, I'm getting my dance in, and I'm doing pretty well. So after the song goes off, you know, she turns around, it was like Smooth Moves. Like it was like Honey or something. Like, y'all saw that movie with Jessica Alba, Honey? Like Smooth Moves player. I was like, thanks, Ma, thanks. She was like, well, you know, like, let me get your number. What's your name? And I'm like, Jay. Because I wasn't going by Jameer by then, because people would get my name wrong. They'd be like, Jamal? So I just went by Jay. So she's like, I was like, what's your name? And she told me her name. Now, I called her Dante. That's not her real name, but I called her Dante because she kind of reminded me of one of my favorite quarterbacks from the Minnesota Vikings, Dante Culpepper, but like cute and with ass. So like an advantage, right? So I was like, yo, I'm gonna call you. And I actually did. And we started speaking more, and I actually started to really like Dante. We started to go to movies, and, you know, like she gave me my first kiss, which was really dope. In a movie theater, we saw the Cookout. I don't know if y'all know about the Cookout, but it's a black classic, all right? On the same lines as Who Bought the Potato Salad. It's a real indie cult classic film, The Cookout. Go research it. So we go see the Cookout, and you know, I'm doing the move where I put my arm over to her, and then we like embrace, and I can still remember like she had like softly chapped lips, like not all the way chapped, but there's just that top layer of chappedness, like, oh, you've been talking kind of chap. And I remember us just kissing, and there was an immediate spark, and we just like hung out for like 4 months. I go to Catholic school again. My mother is an elementary school principal for public school. So Dante go to public school. My mother is the principal of public school. There would be some days that I got off from school, like just some days where Catholics was like, nah, Jesus did this, so we can't go to school. Like, oh, Peter turned Crip. So now Jesus is like, oh no, don't be Crip. So we got the day off. Because Peter was Crip. And so one of these days, I just was just like, Dante, like, yo, just cut school, come see me. And she was like, all right, I'll cut school. And so this started to become a ritual. So every like half day or day I would have off, I just tell her to, forget about your education, come hang out with me all day. So one day we're hanging out and she was like, Jameer, I think I want to have sex. Oh. Right. And so she already has had sex. I had told people that I had had sex. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I got you. But in my body, I'm freaking the fuck out because I never had sex before. The closest thing I got to sex was I called my friend Rich one day because I was ashamed of being a virgin. I called him and I played this DVD, Ghetto Booty 2, in the background. And so I turned it up kind of loud when my mother wasn't there, and I called Rich, and I was like, hey, yo, Rich, guess what I'm doing? And all you heard was, oh, my God, Lex Steele, because Lex Steele was in it. Yeah, Lex Steele was in it. And I was like, yeah, like, yo, guess what I'm doing? He was like, oh, you ain't no virgin no more. Like, yo. And so everybody, or at least my friends, thought that I was not a virgin. And this is a big moment for me because I had talked all this shit to her, like, oh yeah, like I do this, I do that. And so when we actually got down to having sex, it took me like from 9 a.m. to like almost the time where school was out for me to actually get ready and hard and perform because I was so anxious. But it finally happened. And we had sex. This is crazy. Don't judge me. This is the time. We had sex. And UPN was on, and it was like around 2 o'clock, so they showed the Cosby Show. So I remember, like actually giving my stroke to the to the Broadway theme intro of the Cosby Show where Raven Simone was in it. So I wasn't a virgin no more, and I cherished that. And so, she was like, wow, like, that was really good. Like, I'm glad. I would love to do it again. I got to run. And she, she leaves. And I'm like, oh, my God, like, I'm not a virgin anymore. And there was, like, a sex spot in the sheets that, she left. And for, like, I didn't change my sheet for, like, a month and a half. I would go back to that spot and smell it to make me, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm 15, all right? Let me live. Go back and smell that spot. And every time she would come over, like, it would be like a scent to make me remember what that first time was. So we started like dating officially, and she, she told me that she wasn't a virgin and she had a long time partner before me, a boyfriend named Isaiah. And she would tell me about Isaiah and how he was like this tall dude with like tattoos, and he was like 16 and he was like a badass and shit like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not really sweating it because like I'm pussy. I'm not a bitch, but I'm pussy. And what I mean by that is like, I'm not gonna go fight this dude or be intimidated by that. He'd probably knock me the fuck out. But I'm no bitch. Like nobody's just gonna slap me again. It happened before. But nobody's just gonna slap me and get away with it. So I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like no sweat. Tell me about Isaiah. I'm like, all right, bet. She said, hey, like, actually, my Sweet 16 is coming up. I'm doing something. I want you to come. I want your friends to come. I'm letting you know, though, Isaiah might be there because my family love him. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever the case is. So I made sure I hit up my cousin, my cool cousin, and my homies and let them know that the Sweet 16 is coming up. So, I have never been to a Sweet 16. So I wear a whole suit with a pocket square and a tie and shit, like much like that, and a full suit with shoes. And so like my mom drops me off, my friends are on their way, and I get to this Sweet 16 party in Coney Island. She's from Coney Island Projects. I ain't really know what to expect. I walk in there with a full suit, it's neon lights, all kind of shit. And I knew I was overdressed when I saw that most of the people had a New York Yankee fitted on with untied do-rags underneath. And I'm looking down at my Stacey Adams shoes. Like I'm clearly overdressed for this function. So I didn't know anybody there except for her, so I go hug her. I had flowers for her. It was just like, happy 16th birthday. I said hello to her mom, and I go sit at this table. And one by one on my phone, my friends begin to call and text me and tell me that they can't make it. So I need a way out because I told my mother to come pick me up at 11. It is 8:30. I am very early, sitting at this table by myself. Around like 10, Isaiah walk in. Isaiah is wearing a white Dickies suit. I don't know if y'all remember Dickies, but it was like professional hoodwear. So like it got like buttons and shit, but like inappropriate pockets. Like pockets just right here. There's a pocket right there. Like this was the Dickie outfit. And so he comes in, like already the energy is on. This is her ex-boyfriend. He goes up to her, grabs her waist by ass, hands by ass now, kisses her on her cheek, hugs her mother, grabs the microphone, and proceeds to give a speech right before the big reveal of like, oh, she's 16 or whatever the case is. And he talks about how he regretted leaving her and how he wanted to make it work and all this shit. And I'm sitting at this table, seething, because I can't beat him. I know I can't beat him. But also, like, I got a suit on, and this is really embarrassing. It's not going my way. So then he proceeds to have a slow dance with her, the slow dance. I know. And so she kind of like looking over at me like, I don't know what to do, but like he giving me this energy, so... And like proceeds to slow dance to Nelly Call on Me with Janet Jackson. So I'm sitting there and I just watched and watched and watched them have this whole evening until my mother came to pick me up. Now after that, like in between that, like her family would come up, hey, how you doing? You all right? Okay. All right, don't worry. We love you, Suit Man. They started calling me Suit Man because I had on the suit. But like that moment like stuck with me because I didn't do anything and she didn't like negate anything. And so I got back home and I just didn't know how to channel that. And so all that anger kind of started this like repeated pattern of me putting sex in when I would feel angry and trying to just fuck out the anger. And so I tell Robin this story, and she's like, wow, so your hatred runs deep for tall people. I was like, a little bit, it made me real insecure. And she was like, wow. I wonder what Isaiah's doing right about. Like, you fucking bitch. So the moral of the story is like, yeah, tall people, I love you. I love you, Will. You're one of the ones I love. But I don't like y'all too much, all right? Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
I'm only 6 feet, all right? It's not that tall. Oh, man. Once again, growing up in New York City, way more interesting than growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina. My mom is a lifelong Catholic. She's probably at home, like, Googling, like, what does it mean Peter turned Crip? So, I will call you and explain it later. Jameer will call you and explain it later. One more time for Jameer, everybody. So good. That's our show, folks. Thank you so much for being here. Let's hear it one more time for all of our storytellers, for Ann and Chris and Calvin and Hunter and Jameer, for Lauren up in the booth, who's been with us for all these 50 shows, and for Joe and Debbie here at Frigid, our most excellent hosts. We're going to be back here again on July the 2nd, and we hope to see you there. Have a great night.